Emotional manipulation is something many people experience, but they often do not realize it at first. It usually begins in a subtle way. The other person may act kind, patient, or supportive. They may make you feel safe or understood. But slowly, your emotions become harder to control. You feel more confused, more guilty, or more unsure about yourself. When this happens, manipulation may be involved. Learning to recognize it is an important skill because it helps you protect your mental health, your independence, and your confidence. One clear sign of emotional manipulation is when your feelings are ignored or used against you. For example, when you say, "I felt hurt when you shouted at me," some people do not listen. Instead, they make the situation about themselves. They say, "I shouted because you never support me," or "if you were a better partner, I wouldn't act like that." In this moment, your emotions are not accepted. You are blamed for the reaction of the other person. After many conversations like this, you may feel unsure about your right to express your emotions. You may start to believe that you are the problem, even when you did nothing wrong. Another sign is guilt. Manipulative people are skilled at making you feel guilty for things that should not be your responsibility. If they feel sad, they say it is because of you. If they make a mistake, they say it happened because you did not help enough. If they behave badly, they say it is because you made them angry. You begin to feel responsible for their happiness, their mood, and their actions. This is not healthy. In a balanced relationship, each person takes responsibility for their own behavior. Guilt should not be used as a tool to control someone. Emotional manipulation also appears when someone's words do not match their actions. They may say they care about you, but they do not treat you with respect. They may apologize many times, but their behavior does not change. They may promise to listen, but every conversation ends in the same pattern. This creates confusion. You do not know whether to believe their words or their actions. Confusion makes it easier for manipulation to continue because you start hoping for the version of them that seems kind, not the version that hurts you. Gaslighting is another powerful form of manipulation. Gaslighting happens when someone makes you doubt your memory or your understanding of events. You may say, "You promised you would stop shouting," and they reply, "I never said that," even though you remember it clearly. Or you tell them that something they said was hurtful and they answer, "You are too sensitive," or "You always imagine things." When this happens again and again, your confidence becomes weaker. You start to question your perception, your memory, and sometimes even your sanity. This is exactly what the manipulator wants. They want you to depend on their version of the truth. Manipulators also create emotional highs and lows. Sometimes they act extremely loving and sweet. They give compliments, attention, gifts, or warm words. Later, they may suddenly become cold, distant, or angry. This emotional change is confusing and stressful. You may feel like you must earn their affection. You try harder to make them happy because you want the good side of them to return. This dynamic creates emotional dependency. You feel responsible for their mood, and your self-worth becomes tied to how they behave. Social pressure can also be a part of manipulation. Some people act kind and gentle in front of others, but they behave differently in private. When you tell someone about the problem, they say, "Really? They seem like a great person." This makes you question your own experience. Manipulators often use this technique to protect their image. They want the world to see them as wonderful so that your voice sounds less believable. This makes you feel alone, unsupported, and trapped. Another common sign is when your boundaries are repeatedly pushed or ignored. When you say no, a manipulator does not accept it. They pressure you, criticize you, or use emotional arguments to change your mind. They might say, "If you love me, you will do this," or "Why are you so selfish?" After hearing this many times, you may start giving in, not because you want it, but because you are tired of fighting. This weakens your sense of control and makes it easier for them to influence your decisions. To protect yourself, the first thing you can do is pay attention to how you feel around the person. Your feelings can give you important clues. When you see their name on your phone, do you feel anxious? When you meet them, do you feel stressed? After talking to them, do you feel tired or confused? These emotional reactions are meaningful. They help you identify relationships that are draining or unhealthy. You should also look for patterns. Manipulation is rarely a single event. It is repeated behavior. Ask yourself, does this person always blame me? Do they often ignore my feelings? Do they make me doubt myself? Do I feel worse after most conversations? If the same negative pattern appears again and again, it is a sign that something deeper is wrong. Another useful approach is to compare what the person says with what they do. If their actions match their words consistently, it is a sign of honesty and respect. If their actions are different from what they say, the words may be used only to calm you or control you. For example, someone who truly respects you will show it by listening, apologizing, and trying to change. Someone who manipulates you will apologize only to avoid consequences and then repeat the same harmful behavior. When you first recognize emotional manipulation, you may feel angry or disappointed. You may ask yourself why you did not see it earlier, but you should not blame yourself. Manipulation often works slowly, step by step. Manipulators use your empathy, your hope, and your kindness. They take advantage of your desire to keep the relationship peaceful. The important thing now is not to judge yourself, but to understand what is happening and decide how to respond. Setting boundaries is one of the strongest ways to protect yourself. A boundary is not a fight. It is a simple statement about what you accept and what you do not accept. You can say things like, "I do not want to be spoken to in that way. I need you to stop blaming me for your decisions. If you continue to insult me, I will end this conversation." These sentences are direct but calm. They help you take back control of the situation. A manipulator may react negatively, but this reaction does not mean your boundary is wrong. It simply means they are not used to hearing no. Sometimes, recognizing manipulation also means asking for help. Talking to a friend, a family member, or a therapist can help you gain clarity. When you explain the situation to another person, you may see the pattern more clearly. You may notice details that you ignored before. You may also feel stronger when someone supports your feelings and tells you that your experience is valid. The goal of learning about emotional manipulation is not to become suspicious of everyone. It is to develop awareness. You can still trust people, care for them, and build deep relationships. But you also learn to trust yourself, your voice, your feelings, and your boundaries. When you trust yourself, manipulation loses its power. You become stronger, more confident, and more independent. You know how to protect your heart without closing it. And you understand that healthy relationships do not require confusion, guilt, or fear. They require honesty, respect, and care from both sides.